Good afternoon, folks. I'm Brian Schwalb, D.C. Attorney General. I'm here with Mayor Muriel Bowser. As all of you know, this morning we filed a lawsuit here in the Federal District Court to enjoin the attempted hostile takeover of our police department. As we set forth in our papers in the court, we made clear that under the Home Rule Act, the authority to appoint a chief of police sits squarely with the mayor, and that the right to control the local policing of our city sits with the mayor and the chief of police, notwithstanding the government, the president, and the attorney general's efforts to suggest that they had taken control of our police force and put somebody in to run our police force. I'm very gratified that the judge today recognized that that is flagrantly illegal, that it violates the clear language of the Home Rule Act, and that for all intents and purposes, the chief of police remains the chief of police. Pamela Smith, appointed by the mayor, confirmed by the council, remains the chief of police for the District of Columbia in command and control of the more than 3,100 professional officers that work for MPD. My sincere hope is that we don't have to be back fighting over this issue again. The government, the federal government, recognizing that the judge was going to have to make a ruling on this issue, actually withdrew and said that they're going to rewrite the language that suggested that the person from the DEA was running the police department, which was illegal and clearly not going to happen. So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen. Chief Smith remains in control of the police department under the supervision of our mayor. Very important win for Home Rule today.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am pleased to stand with our Attorney General, Brian Schwalb, and his capable team at the Office of the Attorney General, as well as members of my team. We are grateful for the hard work that was done when we received an order late into the evening, yesterday evening, that we read as plainly against the Home Rule Charter. Our teams worked throughout the night. The judge herself commented on the hard work that was done and presented in the cases made. And I am encouraged by the judge's remarks and the federal government making the changes that were suggested, and the judge's willingness to rule if that's not satisfactory. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take about questions. My expectation is that the key issue with respect to control and command of our MPD has been resolved today, and that it is clear as a matter of law that it is under the chief of police appointed by the mayor.
Hey, Brian, Bob Barnard over here from Fox 5. Are you concerned at all that when President Trump gets wind of what the judge ruled, he's going to come right back and do it again?
Look, all we can do as local officials elected and accountable to the residents of the District of Columbia is to stand up for Home Rule and our law. Even the President of the United States, even the Attorney General of the United States needs to comply with the law. And the Home Rule Charter and the Home Rule Act is very clear with respect to when the President can request limited services of MPD, limited by time, limited by emergency circumstances, and limited for federal purposes. And in all cases, those services must be requested to the mayor to be provided by the chief of police, not a hostile takeover of our police. And if it means standing up to the president, standing up to the attorney general to ensure that the laws of our country are followed, we will do that. My hope is that we do not have to be back here relitigating it. Our local law enforcement has worked collaboratively with federal law enforcement from time immemorial. This is nothing new, and it's part of what the residents of the District of Columbia deserve is a cohesive law enforcement effort, MPD with our federal enforcement partners. We don't need a hostile takeover from the federal government to do what we do every day. And my hope is we can get past this and get back to doing the hard work of continuing to drive crime down in our city, because any crime in our city is too much. We have to continue to be focused on that, and my hope is that we put that to bed today.
Mr. Attorney General, Madam Mayor, what's your expectation of what happens with both the homeless in the district and people without status? Do they both need to be worried that D.C. police are now enforcing rules that prior to this they've not been?
Look, we know that the law under the Home Rule Act allows the federal government during a course of an emergency to request the services of MPD in furtherance of a federal purpose. And whether it's clearing encampments that are adjacent to or near federal land or that might interfere with federal employees, if it's enforcement of immigration laws that are under the federal, we will have to confront that as it comes. We have made very clear, we have made very clear that we have laws in our city and that the services that MPD provides in furtherance of a request from the president, those services must comply with the law.
Mr. Attorney General, Luke Barr with ABC News. Are you surprised? Can you, first of all, take us inside? Right here, can you take us inside the negotiations with the Justice Department? It was a prolonged negotiation. What was that? What were those conversations like? And then for the mayor, were you surprised to see the Attorney General's memo and executive order last night, given the sort of what appeared to be cooperation between federal and state authorities?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the confidential settlement discussions and negotiations that went on today.
We were surprised. I think you know that we reached out immediately to the Attorney General as the President's designee. We had a productive meeting. She described it as a productive meeting. And without notice, we got the order.
Back from NBC News here. Are you concerned about potentially escalating tensions between the federal agents and D.C. residents as we go into this weekend?
What we know is that D.C. residents are worried and concerned, and we have a surge of federal officers. Chief Smith's job during this week has been to make sure that if we have and while we have federal officers, that they are being used strategically. And while we aren't controlling them, we do have the ability to influence how they're being deployed.
Mayor Bowser.
Thanks. No more questions. Thank you, everybody.